The cold silence of space stretched for light years around the Aegis. Its sleek silver hull reflected the dim glow of distant stars, cutting through the blackness like a shard of light. Captain Leora Kane sat in the command chair, her hands lightly resting on the controls, eyes scanning the display screens that flickered with data from the sensors. Every creak, every hum of the ship felt louder in the quiet of the void. Sector Orion 7, she murmured to herself, uncharted, untouched, yet full of possibilities. Her crew of 7 humans moved around the bridge with quiet efficiency. Each of them had trained for years, mastering skills from navigation to engineering. Even in the vast loneliness of space, humans had a way of moving with purpose, a confidence born of curiosity and determination. "Captain, we're picking up a large mass on the long-range sensors," said Lieutenant Samir Holt, the ship's science officer. His voice carried a mixture of excitement and concern. "It's massive. Larger than any ship we've encountered in this sector." Leora leaned forward, squinting at the readings. "How massive?" she asked. "Estimate. Several kilometers long," Samir said. "And it just appeared. No hyperspace signature, nothing." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Space was full of unknowns, but sudden appearances like this were extremely rare. "Keep tracking it," Leora said. "Alert the crew, but no panic. Let's see what we're dealing with before making any moves." The ship's comm system crackled, and a voice, deep, strange, and unhuman, filled the bridge. Only one word came through, clear and chilling. "Run." Every human on the bridge froze. The word echoed in the empty spaces of the ship as if the walls themselves carried the warning. Did you hear that?" whispered Ensign Mara Lynn, the youngest crew member, her fingers clutching the console. "I heard it," said Leora calmly, though her mind raced. "Stay focused." "Repeat," the voice said. "Only one word?" Samir checked the audio feed again. "Yes, one word." "Only one," it repeated. Once, then stopped. The crew looked at each other in silent confusion. The word wasn't aggressive, it wasn't a threat, but it was clear, urgent, and meant to warn. "Run from what?" Mara asked softly, fear flickering in her eyes. Leora shook her head. "That's what we're going to find out." For a moment, the ship's sensors went silent. The alien vessel remained in orbit, dark and massive, almost like a shadow frozen in space. Its surface reflected nothing, absorbed every light, giving the impression that it was more absence than presence. No weapons, no movement, only silence. "Captain," Samir said, breaking the tense quiet, "the readings are inconsistent. It's like the ship isn't entirely physical. Some energy fields are fluctuating, almost like it's partially phased." Leora frowned. "Phased? That's impossible. No known technology can make a ship partially intangible. Apparently someone or something knows how," Samir said. Leora stood, her boots clicking softly on the metal floor. "We're not here to speculate. Gather all data, scan the area. I want to know everything about that ship before we make any decision." The crew obeyed silently. Every human aboard the Aegis had been trained for situations like this, unknown threats, unexplained phenomena. But the cold, immediate urgency of a warning like "run" was unsettling. Hours passed. The alien ship remained in place, observing. Silent, incomprehensible. Humans, unlike other species, thrived on uncertainty, on solving the impossible. Captain Kane knew this. "We don't leave until we know what we're dealing with," she said. "Humans have a history of turning the impossible into survival. Let's not forget that." Ensign Lynn nodded, her fear replaced by determination. Every human on the crew felt it. The same drive that had carried humanity across Earth's oceans into space and into the hearts of unknown galaxies. Then, sensors picked up something else. A signal. It wasn't audio like before, and it wasn't visual. It was a data stream, almost like a code being transmitted from the alien ship directly into the Aegis's systems. "Captain, you need to see this," Samir said, his eyes wide. He pointed at the main display, where lines of alien symbols flickered and shifted in impossible patterns. "It's communicating. Somehow it knows how to send information directly into our systems." Leora leaned over the console, studying the symbols. Her mind worked quickly, piecing together patterns. Humans had a knack for seeing connections where others saw chaos. Slowly, the patterns revealed meaning, not in words, but in warnings and maps of energy flows with a single, horrifying implication. The system they were in had been the graveyard of civilizations. Every species that had entered without heeding the warning word had vanished. "Run," she whispered under her breath. "It's not a threat. It's a warning like a beacon from those who didn't survive." The crew digested this in silence. The knowledge was terrifying yet strangely exhilarating. Humans had never been the strongest species, but they were clever, adaptable, and relentless. That was what set them apart in the galaxy. Suddenly, the alien ship moved, not aggressively but deliberately. It shifted closer, scanning the Aegis in ways that made the air inside the ship feel heavier, charged with tension. Every crew member felt the silent gaze of something ancient and aware, and yet they did not panic. Captain Kane's voice was firm. "We're not running. Not yet. We need to understand. Humans survive because we think, because we adapt, because we do what others won't dare. That's what we're going to do now." Lieutenant Holt nodded. "Agreed, Captain. I'm analyzing the system for traces of previous civilizations. Maybe we can learn something from them before it's too late." "Good. Mara, keep monitoring the ship's movements. I don't want any surprises." As the crew worked, the data stream from the alien vessel continued. It revealed remnants of civilizations, abandoned stations, and destroyed fleets. Everywhere the warning had been ignored, the results had been catastrophic. Yet for the humans, every hazard was an opportunity. Every warning was a puzzle. "Captain," Samir said, finally looking up from his console, "we can try to map its energy patterns. There's a chance, just a chance, that we can predict its behavior." "Do it," Leora ordered. "Humans don't just survive by luck. We survive by learning, by acting, by thinking ahead. That's what makes us different." Hours became days as the Aegis studied the alien ship. Every crew member felt the tension in their own way: fear, excitement, curiosity, and determination. The warning word, "Run," was a threat of terror but also a challenge. Humans didn't shy away from challenges. They faced them, analyzed them, and often turned them into victories. Then, an unexpected event changed everything. The alien ship, without warning, released a pulse of energy. It swept across the system like a silent wave, activating every derelict station and ancient technology in its path. The pulse did not attack humans directly, but it was a test, a measurement. Every crew member felt it in their bodies, as if the ship was assessing their reactions, measuring their courage and ingenuity. Captain Kane's heart pounded, but her voice was steady. "It's testing us. It wants to see if humans are predictable, or if we're capable of something else." "Yes, Captain," Mara said, her voice filled with awe. We are unpredictable. That's what humans are." Leora looked out into the void, where stars glittered like diamonds in endless black velvet. She thought of Earth, of humanity's endless drive to explore, to survive, to defy limits. And she understood something vital. The alien ship's warning wasn't meant to scare them, it was meant to measure them. "We'll learn from this," she said quietly. "We'll survive, and we'll show them what humans can do." As the Aegis drifted in the shadow of the alien vessel, the word "run" echoed in every crew member's mind. But for humans, fear was never enough to stop them. Fear was a tool, a test, and sometimes the spark that ignited courage, ingenuity, and the impossible. The challenge had begun, and humans were ready. The pulse from the alien ship had faded, leaving the Aegis and its crew in a tense, heavy silence. Captain Leora Kane stood at the viewport, staring into the endless black of the uncharted system. Stars glittered like distant diamonds, cold and indifferent. But somewhere among them lay secrets that had destroyed civilizations before humans arrived. "Captain," Lieutenant Samir Holt called, breaking the quiet, "I've decoded part of the data stream. There's something I need you to see." Leora turned, her eyes sharp. "Show me." Samir's fingers danced across the console, and the main display lit up with intricate maps, symbols, and images. Planets once teeming with life, space stations orbiting gas giants, and fleets of alien ships frozen in their final moments appeared on the screen. Each scene told a story of sudden destruction. Every civilization in this system had vanished or been destroyed long before humans arrived. "Look at this pattern," Samir said. "Every record ends with the same symbol, a single warning word. Run, it's universal. Every species that ignored it disappeared." Leora's eyes narrowed. "So this isn't just a warning, it's a record. A message from the past." She paused, thinking. "But why us? Why humans?" Samir shook his head. "I don't know. Maybe we're different. Maybe they recognize something in us that others lacked. Humans had a reputation across several sectors as unpredictable, resourceful, and resilient. Leora had experienced it herself countless times. Humans survived situations that others would call impossible. Maybe the alien vessel recognized that. "Prepare a probe," Leora ordered. "I want a close survey of the nearest planet. Let's see if there are clues we can study firsthand." The crew moved quickly. Mara Lynn handled navigation while Ensign Jarek Toma prepped the probe for launch. Even in moments of tension, the humans worked with precision, the quiet confidence of people used to danger and uncertainty. The probe was launched and streaked toward a planet partially covered in ice and dust. Images returned almost immediately. Ruins of cities, massive structures broken and frozen in time, vehicles scattered as if abandoned in a rush. The planet had once been vibrant, now silent. Samir's voice trembled slightly as he narrated. "These structures, they're clearly intelligent, but look at the pattern of destruction. It's consistent. No natural disaster could do this. It's deliberate." Leora studied the images. This is a predator of some kind. Something no civilization survived. Something beyond anything humans or aliens have faced before. Mara Lynn spoke softly, almost to herself. It's what the word meant, run. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning for anyone who could survive, like a test. The thought settled over the crew. Fear mixed with awe, and awe turned into determination. Humans thrived in impossible situations. They adapted. They solved puzzles that others could not. Leora made a decision. "We'll study it. We'll understand it. And we'll survive." That's what humans do. The crew spent the next hours analyzing every scrap of data they could retrieve from the planet. They discovered signs of alien technology, weapons, and energy sources unlike anything humans had seen. But most importantly, they discovered traces of human-like resilience in past failures, hints that adaptation, quick thinking, and unpredictability could sometimes delay the inevitable. "They didn't survive," Samir said quietly, "but there were near misses. Small victories that failed in the end. We might be able to learn from those mistakes." Leora nodded. "Exactly. Humans don't follow patterns. That's why we survive where others fail. Let's use that." Meanwhile, the alien ship remained stationary, observing. Its presence was ominous, yet almost respectful. It didn't attack, didn't communicate further, but the humans felt the weight of its awareness. It was as if the ship were measuring them, assessing whether humanity could meet the challenge it presented. "Captain," said Jarek, "the alien vessel, it's not just watching. I think it's waiting. Waiting to see what we do next." Leora's expression hardened. "Good, let it wait. Humans don't act on fear alone. We act on knowledge, on instinct, on strategy." The crew prepared for their first direct exploration. A shuttle was launched toward one of the ruins carrying Leora, Samir, and Mara. The planet's surface was cold and jagged, with shattered buildings and debris scattered across ice-covered plains. The silence was almost suffocating, broken only by the shuttle's engines. As they stepped onto the frozen ground, Mara whispered, "It's so quiet. Too quiet." Leora placed a hand on her shoulder. "That's why we're here. Humans don't shy away from quiet, from danger. We see patterns others miss. We make decisions others fear to make." They explored the ruins, finding fragments of technology and data cores. Samir worked quickly, connecting devices to the shuttle's interface. Streams of data filled the screens. Logs of civilizations, their histories, their final moments. One species, Samir said, scrolling through the data, tried to fight it. They built fleets, weapons, defenses. Nothing worked. The predator, if we can call it that, adapted faster than they could respond. Their ingenuity wasn't enough. Leora studied the logs. They didn't understand that survival isn't just about strength. It's about adaptability. And humans, we're uniquely unpredictable. That's our edge. Suddenly a shadow passed over the ruins. The human crew froze, instinctively ducking behind a wall. The alien predator had emerged, its form massive and alien, its movements fluid and terrifying. It didn't attack immediately. Instead, it scanned, analyzing the humans. Mara whispered, "It's enormous. I've never seen anything like it." Leora kept her voice calm. "Observe. Don't panic. Humans survive by thinking, not by running blindly. Remember that." The predator's gaze lingered on the humans. Its presence was overwhelming, but the humans did not flee. They were small in size but enormous in courage, ingenuity, and determination. Every species that had faced this predator before had failed because they relied on brute force, following predictable patterns. Humans relied on strategy, improvisation, and teamwork. "Samir," Leora whispered, "can we predict its behavior?" Samir analyzed quickly, connecting data from the ruins with current readings. "It's looking for predictable patterns. It studies responses and reacts to them. Humans, we don't follow patterns. That might be our advantage." Leora smiled slightly. "Then we use it. We learn, we adapt, and we survive. That's what humans do." The predator eventually moved away, its interest shifting elsewhere. The humans exhaled in relief but remained vigilant. They knew the warning, "Run," was more than a suggestion. It was a test. But humans were not like other species. They thrived where others failed. They adapted, they improvised, and they never gave up. Back aboard the Aegis, the crew regrouped and analyzed the planet's data. They discovered more evidence of ancient civilizations and patterns of failure. But they also found hope. Clues that strategy and intelligence could delay the inevitable. For humans, delay was not weakness. It was preparation. Captain Kane addressed her crew. "We've seen the danger. We've studied the history. The warning was clear, but we're not like the species before us. We are humans. We survive. We adapt, we think. That's our advantage. And that's why we're still here." Mara Lynn nodded. "We can do this. We're humans. We always find a way." "Exactly," Leora said. "And next we prepare. We learn everything we can about this predator and this system. The more we understand, the better our chances. Humans don't just run from danger. We face it, we analyze it, and we turn it to our advantage." As the Aegis left the planet's orbit, the alien ship remained in the distance, silent and observing. The warning word, "Run," lingered in their minds. But for humans, fear was never enough to stop them. Fear was a tool. Curiosity, courage, and ingenuity were what humans wielded best. The challenge was far from over, but humanity had faced worse odds before. And in the silent, cold expanse of space, humans prepared for what no other species had survived, because humans were different. Humans could face the impossible and live. The calm of space shattered as the sensors aboard the Aegis lit up with sudden activity. Captain Leora Kane leaned over the console, her eyes narrowing at the readings. The alien predator had moved. It was no longer distant. It had emerged from the shadows, gliding through the system with terrifying grace. "Captain?" Lieutenant Samir Holt called, his voice tense. "It's approaching the inner planets. The readings are massive. Energy levels are off the charts. It's hunting." Leora's jaw tightened. "We knew this day would come. Everyone, stay sharp. This isn't about brute force. It's about strategy, observation, and quick thinking. That's how humans survive." The crew worked quickly, preparing the Aegis for the encounter. Mara Lynn monitored the predator's trajectory, while Ensign Jarek Toma calibrated the ship's defensive shields. Every human aboard knew the stakes. The predator had ended entire civilizations before. One wrong move could mean the end of humanity in this system. "Captain," Samir said, pointing at the main display. "Its movement is deliberate. It's scanning for behavior patterns. It adapts based on what it observes. If we act predictably, it will exploit us." Leora nodded. "Then we act unpredictably. Humans survive by being unpredictable. We think, we improvise, we adapt. That's our advantage." The predator emerged fully into sensor range. Its form was enormous, far larger than any ship, with limbs and appendages that moved fluidly as if liquid. Its surface shimmered with an alien energy that distorted space itself. It did not attack immediately. Instead, it circled the planets, observing, testing, calculating. "Captain," Mara whispered. "It's analyzing us. It knows we're here." "Let it analyze," Leora replied calmly. "We survive because we adapt, Mara. Watch carefully, learn, then act." The humans decided to use the abandoned planetary stations as bait. They activated energy signatures and scattered decoy probes across the system. The predator's sensors picked up the signals and moved toward them, testing the reactions. "Interesting," Samir said. "It responds faster than any machine or species we've encountered. It's intelligent." Leora's eyes narrowed. "Not just intelligent, adaptive. It learns from patterns and anticipates responses. But humans break patterns. That's why we have a chance. As the Predator approached the first probe, it struck with incredible speed, disabling it before the humans could react. But the second probe, programmed with unpredictable movement and sudden energy bursts, eluded the Predator. It was a small victory, but it proved their point. Humans could outthink it. "Captain," Mara said, pointing at the screen. "It's confused. It doesn't understand why the probes aren't predictable." "Good," Leora said. "That confusion is our window. We'll use it." The Predator then focused on the Aegis. Its energy field pulsed, scanning, almost probing the ship's systems. The human crew felt a low vibration through the hull, a silent pressure that pressed against their nerves. It was testing them, measuring reactions, assessing the crew's coordination and adaptability. "Steady," Leora said. "This is what humans do best. We don't panic. We observe, we plan, we adapt." Ensign Jarek Toma adjusted the ship's shields, creating a pattern of energy fluctuations designed to confuse the Predator. It reacted immediately, shifting its position, testing new approaches. The humans were learning its behavior, and the Predator in turn was learning theirs. "It's a game," Samir said, voice filled with awe. "A deadly game, but a game nonetheless." "Exactly," Leora replied. "Humans have always thrived in impossible situations. We survive where others fail because we don't follow predictable rules. That's what it doesn't understand." The Predator then changed tactics. It moved closer to the inner planets, activating remnants of ancient defense systems. Massive turrets and energy arrays from long-dead civilizations came online, firing blindly. The humans watched carefully, noting patterns and weaknesses. "Captain," Samir said, "these systems are still active but poorly maintained. They could be useful if we use them correctly." Leora nodded. "Prepare the controls. We'll use the old defenses to guide the Predator into a trap. It won't destroy us if we think ahead." The crew coordinated with precision, rerouting energy from the derelict stations to create a corridor of controlled energy pulses. The Predator, sensing movement, followed cautiously. Every step of the way, the humans adapted, adjusting the pulses and manipulating energy flows to guide the Predator toward a containment area. Mara Lynn watched, heart pounding. "It's working. The Predator is following our trail." "Good," Leora said. "Remember, humans survive because we think. We adapt, we improvise. Keep that in mind." The Predator entered the corridor of energy pulses, its massive form reacting to every change. It tried to anticipate, but humans were unpredictable. The energy guided it toward a containment field, a trap built using remnants of ancient technology combined with the humans' ingenuity. "Captain, it's trapped," Samir exclaimed, eyes wide. "The containment field is holding it, at least for now." Leora allowed herself a small smile. "Humans survive. We adapt, we think ahead. That's why we're different." But the victory was tempered with caution. The Predator was enormous, intelligent, and adaptive. The containment field was temporary. They had delayed the inevitable, but they had also learned something crucial. Humans could face the Predator and survive, but only by using their greatest strengths: creativity, unpredictability, and teamwork. "Captain," Mara said, still watching the trapped Predator. "It's watching us. Like it knows we understand it now." "Good," Leora replied. "It knows we're different. That's the point. We're not just another species. We're humans. We survive when others fail, and it will have to learn that, if it can." As the Predator thrashed within the containment field, the humans analyzed every movement. They observed its energy patterns, its reactions, and its attempts to escape. Every observation was a lesson. Every response was data. Humanity was learning faster than any other species could have. "Captain," Samir said, "we can use this. We can study it, predict it, and find a way to turn its strength against it. No other species has done this before." Leora nodded firmly. "Exactly. Humans survive because we don't just react. We plan, we improvise, we adapt. That's what makes us special. That's what makes us human." The Predator, sensing the humans' understanding, slowed its thrashing. It seemed almost curious. It had never encountered a species capable of observing, predicting, and adapting with such efficiency. For the first time, it hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Mara whispered, It's learning from us too. Like it recognizes we're different." Leora's gaze was steady. "Yes, and that difference is our strength. We survive not because we're the strongest, but because we're clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. That's why we're still here, and that's why we will continue to survive." As the Aegis drifted in orbit, the Predator contained but still powerful, the crew prepared for the next phase. They knew this was only the beginning. The alien ship, the Predator, and the uncharted system held challenges unlike any humans had faced. But humans thrived in challenges. They turned fear into opportunity, obstacles into strategy, and the impossible into survival. The warning word, run, echoed in their minds. But humans didn't just run. Humans observed, adapted, and survived. And for the first time in the system's history, they had forced the Predator to pause, to hesitate. "Captain," Samir said, "it's a test, isn't it? To see if anyone could survive, and we are surviving." Leora's eyes met his. "Not just surviving, Samir. We're learning, adapting, and showing what humans are capable of. That's what sets us apart. That's what makes us unstoppable when we work together." The Predator thrashed, the containment field glowing brightly around it. But for the first time, humanity had shown that even in the face of an unstoppable force, courage, intelligence, and adaptability could create hope. And humans never gave up hope. The Predator remained contained within the field, thrashing and pulsing with alien energy. Its every movement reverberated through the Aegis, yet the humans aboard the ship were calm, observing carefully, calculating, and planning. Captain Leora Kane stood at the main viewport, her eyes steady, her mind alive with possibilities. "We've seen its strength," she said, addressing the crew. "We've observed its speed, its intelligence, its adaptability. But strength alone is not victory. Strategy is victory, and humans excel at strategy." Lieutenant Samir Holt nodded, fingers dancing across the controls. "I've analyzed the Predator's energy output. There's a pattern in how it reacts to the containment field. If we exploit it carefully, we can guide its energy rather than fight it directly." Mara Lynn, standing nearby, swallowed hard, but nodded. "So, we use its own strength against it?" Leora smiled. "Exactly. Humans survive not by brute force, but by understanding, adapting, and acting where others cannot. That's our advantage. Let's make it work." The crew set to work, rerouting energy from the Aegis's reactors to create controlled pulses that mimicked the Predator's own energy signature. Every adjustment was precise, designed to provoke specific reactions from the creature. "Captain," Jarek Toma said, "it's responding. The thrashing is different now. It's trying to anticipate, but we're guiding it instead." "Good," Leora said. "Keep it steady. Every move we make, every reaction we cause teaches us more. Humans survive by learning faster than their enemies. That's what's happening right now." Hours passed as the crew continued their careful dance with the Predator. The alien ship in orbit remained silent, watching, its presence heavy but patient. For the first time, the humans realized that the observer was not hostile. It was a judge, a sentinel measuring whether humanity could rise where others had failed. "Captain," Samir said, eyes wide, "look at this. Its energy fluctuations. If we redirect them into the old planetary defenses, we could actually control its movement entirely." Leora's mind raced. "Then we do it. But carefully. One wrong move and it could break free. But if we succeed, we'll have learned something no other species has." The humans worked quickly, their movements synchronized. The Aegis became a hub of controlled chaos, every human contributing their knowledge and skill. The Predator's thrashing now matched the energy pulses, guided subtly, its massive body moving where the humans wanted it to go. Mara Lynn whispered, "It's almost like it's cooperating." "Not cooperating," Leora corrected. "It's responding. Humans learn how to survive situations that seem impossible. That's the difference. And we're teaching it. Indirectly, yes, but effectively. That's our power." The Predator moved closer to the ancient defense arrays orbiting the inner planets. Turrets long dead came to life, controlled by the humans' precise energy manipulations. Each blast was carefully aimed, forcing the Predator along a path the crew had designed. "Captain, it's trapped," Samir said. "Completely. It can move, but it's contained by the defenses we're controlling." Leora nodded. "Good, but containment alone is not victory. We need to learn from it, to understand it fully. Humanity survives by turning danger into opportunity. That's what we'll do now." The crew began analyzing the Predator's energy signature in real time. Every pulse, every movement, every reaction was recorded, compared, and calculated. They began to recognize weaknesses, patterns that could be exploited, but only if humans remained creative and unpredictable. Suddenly, the predator paused. Its massive head swiveled, and it focused on the humans' control patterns. For a moment it seemed to hesitate, as if unsure of how to proceed. Humans had never faced a being that combined intelligence, adaptability, and raw power in this way. Yet humans were still ahead, not because they were stronger, but because they were capable of learning faster and thinking differently. "Captain," Mara said, awe in her voice. It's studying us now, like it realizes we're different." Leora's expression was firm. "Yes, and that's exactly what we want. It has underestimated humans before, but not anymore. We're showing it that strength alone is not enough. Intelligence, creativity, and courage are just as important." The alien ship, still observing from orbit, transmitted a faint signal. Symbols appeared on the display, almost like communication, almost like acknowledgement. It was as if the observer recognized the humans' ingenuity. Humans had survived where countless others had perished. They had turned a deadly threat into a lesson, demonstrating adaptability and courage, qualities no other species had shown in this system. "Captain," Samir said, voice trembling with excitement, "the alien ship, it's reacting, it's impressed, maybe. It's never seen this before." Leora nodded, eyes fixed on the predator. Humans have always thrived in impossible situations. This is no different. We adapt, we improvise. We survive. That's what makes us special. The predator, now partially subdued, was still dangerous, but the humans had learned its rhythms. They could predict its movements, guide its energy, and even anticipate its responses. The Aegis had become more than a ship. It was a command center, a brain coordinating humans and machines against a force that had ended countless civilizations. "Captain," Jarek said, "we can use this. We can redirect its energy completely. We could actually control it, at least temporarily." "Do it," Leora said firmly, "but carefully. Remember, humans survive not because we are fearless, but because we act wisely, quickly, and creatively. Every move counts." The crew adjusted energy flows, creating a controlled path for the predator. Its massive body followed, guided not by submission, but by the humans' understanding of its behavior. Every step they took taught them more. Every pulse of energy revealed another secret of its power. Hours turned into a tense night of careful manipulation. But slowly, humans gained control. Not through force, not through weapons, but through intelligence, observation, and improvisation. Finally, the predator stopped moving, contained within a combination of the ancient defense arrays and the humans' precise energy guidance. It thrashed less, almost as if acknowledging the humans' mastery of the situation. "Captain," Samir said, voice filled with awe, "we've done it. We've turned its strength against itself." Leora allowed herself a small smile. "Humans survive because we think differently. We adapt, we improvise. We don't just react, we learn, plan, and act. That's why we're still here. That's why we succeed where others fail." The alien ship remained silent, observing. But this time the humans were no longer subjects, they were participants. They had turned a deadly threat into an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to prove themselves. The observer, the predator, and the system itself had all underestimated humanity. Mara Lynn whispered, "Captain, we're different." "They're seeing it too." "Yes," Leora said. "And that difference is what makes us unstoppable. Strength alone doesn't win battles. Adaptability, courage, and intelligence do. Humans have all three, and now we've proven it." As the Aegis floated in orbit, the predator subdued and the alien ship watching, the crew realized something vital. They had not only survived, they had turned the predator into a teacher. Every reaction, every energy pulse, every movement had been a lesson in survival. Humans had learned faster than the predator could adapt, and that gave them a critical edge. The word "run" echoed in their minds, but it no longer carried the same weight. Humans did not flee. Humans faced danger, understood it, and turned it into opportunity. That was what made them different. That was what made them human. "Captain," Samir said quietly, "we've done what no other species could. We've faced the predator and survived, and learned from it." Leora's gaze was steady, eyes fixed on the distant alien ship. "Yes, and next we prepare. The system has more challenges, but humans always find a way. We survive, we adapt, and we continue. That's who we are." The predator thrashed once more, but it was contained. The humans had turned the tables. The alien observer remained in orbit, silent but attentive. Humanity had proven something no other species could, that courage, intelligence, and adaptability were just as powerful as raw strength, and sometimes stronger. And as the Aegis charted a new course deeper into the system, the crew felt a surge of confidence. The Predator was formidable, the system dangerous, but humans had already proven they could survive the impossible. In the silent depths of space, the challenge continued. But humanity was ready. The Predator remained contained, its massive form thrashing slowly, testing its boundaries yet unable to escape. The Aegis floated in the shadow of the alien ship, the silent observer that had watched humanity for days. Captain Leora Kane stood at the main viewport, her eyes unwavering as she studied both the Predator and the distant vessel. "This is it," she said quietly, addressing her crew. "Everything we've done has led to this moment. We've faced the impossible, learned its patterns, and turned its strength against itself. Now we prove that humans are more than capable. We survive, and we thrive." Lieutenant Samir Holt nodded. "Captain, I've analyzed the Predator's energy signature in combination with the containment field. If we push it slightly, redirecting its power, we could stabilize it completely. Not as a prisoner, but as a controlled force. We could neutralize its threat without destroying it." Leora smiled. "Exactly. Humans survive because we think, not just fight. Brute force alone doesn't win. Observation, adaptability, and intelligence win. That's what makes us human." Mara Lynn, still amazed by the Predator's size and intelligence, whispered, "It's incredible. We've contained something that destroyed entire civilizations, and we're still standing." "Yes," Leora said firmly, "and that's the point. Humans survive where others fail because we don't just follow rules. We improvise, we learn, we adapt, we use intelligence and courage to overcome the impossible." The crew carefully adjusted the energy flows from the Aegis, guiding the Predator's energy into the ancient planetary defense arrays. Slowly, the massive creature calmed. Its thrashing decreased and the containment field stabilized. It was still alive, still powerful, but it was no longer a direct threat. "Captain," Samir said, awe in his voice, "It's responding. The Predator isn't just contained, it's adapting to our guidance. Almost cooperative." "Not cooperative," Leora corrected. "It's learning just as we learned. That's the difference between humans and every species that came before. We survive not because we overpower, but because we understand, adapt, and act strategically." The alien ship in orbit finally made a subtle movement. A beam of light extended toward the Aegis, projecting symbols and data onto the main display. It was communication, but not in words. The humans deciphered the meaning: respect, acknowledgement, and perhaps admiration. Humanity had passed the test that countless civilizations before them had failed. Jarek Toma whispered, They know. They know what humans are capable of." "Yes," Leora said, her voice calm but proud. "And this is only the beginning. Humans have always faced the unknown and thrived. That's why we continue. That's why we explore, survive, and lead." The crew gathered around the main console as Samir continued analyzing the alien data. The ship had provided logs of past civilizations, detailed histories of their attempts to survive, and records of how the Predator had defeated them. Every species had failed in the same way, relying on predictable strategies, brute force, or rigid thinking. But humans, Leora said softly, are different. We think, we adapt, we improvise. That's why we survived. That's why we're still here. And that's why the Predator, something no one else survived, has learned to respect us. Mara Lynn smiled, a mixture of relief and pride. "So the warning run, it wasn't just a threat. It was a challenge, and we faced it." "Exactly," Leora said. "Humans never run from danger. We confront it, understand it, and turn it into opportunity. That's our legacy. That's why we survive when others do not." The Predator, now stabilized, thrashed less violently, its enormous form moving in a pattern guided by the humans. Every step, every pulse, every movement was being monitored and studied. Humanity had turned what had once been a force of destruction into a source of knowledge and strength. "Captain," Samir said, eyes wide, "we can use this data. We can predict the Predator's behavior completely now. Not just survive it, but use it strategically. No other species could have done this." Leora nodded. "Humans survive not because we are the strongest, but because we are resourceful, intelligent, and fearless in the face of the unknown. That's why we succeeded. That's why we always will." The alien ship finally transmitted a visible signal, a holographic projection of an unknown species. They were tall, sleek, and graceful, their features unfamiliar yet calm. They did not speak, but instead showed images, a history of the predator, the failures of previous species, and finally humans. Their gestures were unmistakable. Humans were recognized as unique, capable, and worthy. Mara whispered, They're acknowledging us. Yes, Leora said, her gaze firm, and that acknowledgement matters. Humans have earned respect where no one else could. That's what makes us special. That's what makes us survive. The crew watched in silence, absorbing the weight of the moment. They had faced the predator, survived, and learned from it. They had proven that human ingenuity and courage could triumph over forces that had destroyed countless civilizations. Captain, Samir said, finally breaking the quiet, we should document everything, not just for us but for humanity. The lessons we've learned here, no other species could have survived this. Humans can. We can share this knowledge, build on it, and prepare for whatever comes next. Leora nodded. Do it. Humanity survives because we learn. We adapt. We share knowledge. That's how we grow stronger. And that's how we face the unknown with confidence. As the crew began compiling data, Mara Lynn turned to Leora. So, the word run, it doesn't scare us anymore. No, Leora said firmly. It's a warning, yes, but humans don't run. We adapt, we survive. And when we face the impossible, we turn it into a challenge we can overcome. That's what makes us human. The predator, now calm and contained, seemed almost aware of the human's understanding. Its movements were no longer wild. It followed the subtle guidance of the energy fields created by the Aegis's crew. Humanity had not defeated it by destruction, but by intelligence, observation, and careful strategy. Captain, Samir said, this could change everything. We now understand a force that ended civilizations before us. Humans could use this knowledge to explore, protect, and survive in the galaxy like no one else. Leora smiled. Exactly. Humans thrive where others fail. We adapt, we think, we act. That's why we're here. That's why we survive. And that's why we will continue to explore, learn, and lead. The alien ship observed quietly for a final time. Then, without warning, it slowly departed, leaving the Aegis alone with the predator and the vast uncharted system. The humans had been tested and they had passed. The predator remained, but no longer as an unstoppable force. Instead, it became a lesson, a symbol of humanity's ability to face the impossible and prevail. Mara Lynn looked out at the stars, her voice soft. Captain, we did it. We survived the impossible. Yes, Leora said, and we will continue to survive. Humans are not the strongest, but we are the cleverest, the bravest, and the most adaptable. That's why we endure. That's why we explore. That's why we leave a legacy wherever we go. The crew returned to the Aegis, their hearts filled with pride and confidence. They had faced a threat that no other species could survive and had turned it into an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. Humanity had proven itself once again, unpredictable, courageous, and unstoppable when they worked together. As the ship set a course for deeper space, the word run echoed in their minds, but no longer as a warning. It was a challenge, a reminder, and a symbol. Humans did not run. Humans faced the unknown, learned from it, and turned it into strength. That was their way. That was their legacy. That was the story of why humans were special in a galaxy full of danger and mystery. Captain Kane sat in the command chair, gazing into the endless black. Set course for the next system, she said. There's more to discover, more to learn. Humanity survives because we never stop exploring, never stop learning, and never stop rising to the challenge. The crew worked together, confident, united, and ready. They had survived the predator. They had earned respect from an alien observer. They had turned danger into opportunity. And as the Aegis disappeared into the stars, humans carried with them a message that would echo across the galaxy. They do not run. They face the impossible, and they survive.